Hey guys, this is Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana. I want to do a quick little index tutorial and sort of a warning to those of you who are using indexes to find a predicted value of cards. For those of you who have watched my videos, you know I'm a huge fan of Card Ladder. The Card Ladder indexes are fascinating and extremely helpful, but I want to kind of put some attention towards the fact that they are not dispositive. They are not, it's not a zero-sum game. There is a lot of guesswork, but there's one particular mistake that a lot of people make when they rely exclusively on the Card Ladder index. You have to remember that each player's index isn't every card in the world on Card Ladder. Their index is only those cards that have been included in the actual ladder itself. And so we're going to use today just an example, Jaylen Brown, which is the card that I ran across. The example I'm going to use today is Jaylen Brown's index and why you can't rely on the Card Ladder index for Jaylen Brown yet. Card Ladder folks they're paired up with PSA, so there's a lot more manpower, a lot more infrastructure, a lot more ability to scale. So I presume that the index of cards, the number of cards included in the Jaylen Brown index on Card Ladder is going to increase over the next few months and years, which would make the index more reliable. But I want to show you why right now you cannot use that index across the broad array, specifically high-end Jaylen Brown cards. So let me switch you over to picture-in-picture. And again, I want to be very clear. This is not an indictment on Card Ladder. There's only so many cards that you can manually input into the Card Ladder to create an index. So what I want to show you is I've got Card Ladder pulled up. I've just gone over here and clicked the indexes button. So this is the main indexes page, and as we've seen ad nauseum, you can click any sport. You can see a lot of green wrestling cards are going up, golf, whatever. But we want to look specifically at Jaylen Brown. So I'm going to click Jaylen Brown in here, right? And it's going to pull up Jaylen Brown, and you're going to see, boom, there's the Jaylen Brown index. We've got it over the last, let's start. We always like to start from afar, afar. Okay, here, he's up 217% from 2 years ago. Whoop-de-doo, so is every player on earth who has not gotten hit by a bus during the last 24 months. But if we look at a year, this is where the bloodbath, or at least what appears to be a bloodbath, comes onto your screen. So you see Jaylen Brown cards, despite the fact that he's performed at an all-star level, despite the fact that the Celtics, without a true point guard, are overachieving and went on a huge run in the second half, much of it attributable to the fact that Jaylen Brown's one of the best two-way players in the league. Also, of course, Tatum's taken a big step forward with his efficiency. Not the most efficient player in the league, but he's taken a big step forward towards that superstardom. Jaylen Brown kind of lurking in the shadows, but very much so doing his job, and I think took a huge step forward this year, being consistent, being healthy, doing it on both ends of the court. He's always going to guard the other team's best perimeter player. He can switch four positions on pick and rolls. And I'm not here to hype Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown cards look at first glance, based on his index, that they've gone down 60%. But I want you to pay attention to this number. Two things to consider. Number one, there's only 11 cards included. But that's not really even 11 different cards, okay? It's just, and we'll click it. So we go up here and we click cards. It's 11 different variations of even fewer cards. I think it's only 3 or 4 cards. So we've got his green color match, but raw and PSA 10. So that counts as 2 cards, but it's really only 1 card, right? We've got his silver in raw, his silver in 10. We've got his silver in 9. That counts as 3 cards, right? But that's really only 2 cards so far. Then you've got his optic hollow. You've got his prism base. And then you've got, that's it. And then his concourse base. So really you're talking about 5 or 6 cards. It's not even 11 cards. Now, what is one thing that all of these cards have in common? You guessed it. They are massively high pop cards, right? Even for 2016, I shouldn't say massively high pop cards. If we go look at his green Prism 10, that's not a high pop card. It's 49. But by all, measures, that is not a high dollar card, what we would call today high end card. That's not an immaculate RPA. It's not a National Treasures. It's not his orange. It's not his gold rookie card. It's not even his blue or red rookie card. That's his green. Okay, that's an unnumbered, unserial numbered Prism Parallel. If we go look at his silver PSA 10, his silver base, it's pop 859. Now, by Doncic standards and Zion standards, no, it's not 20,000, but that's still a high pop card. And this is considered a high pop base Prism card, which, as you know, has taken a massive bloodbath over the last year. As you can see, it's down 50%. So what I'm trying to get at here is that if we go back to his just general index, we're going to see, what am I doing here? Let's go back to his general index. There it is. Okay, now we got to pull Jaylen back up. Sorry about that. I could have done this probably a more efficient way. There's his general index over the last year, down 60%. But it's only measuring those 11 high pop cards that we looked at. Again, the green PSA 10, fine, you can call that a low pop card. It is a low pop card, but it's not a high end card. So what I'm trying to warn people is you can't just use the card ladder predictive value on high end cards, because that high end card is tied to their index for whatever's in the index. And so my example would be, if I wanted to know, let's say I have a bunch of other examples up here, right? More recent examples. But if I saw this February 2021, right? That's right in the middle of the bubble. His National Treasures RPA, numbered to 99, sold for $4,200, right? If we pull that card up, this simply applies the index. And it's got a low confidence level, which is Card Ladder's way of saying we're not really sure because there's not a lot of cards in the index and it hasn't sold in a long time. But if you look at this one in February that sold for $4,200, it gives you a Card Ladder index of 1546, basically indicating this National Treasures RPA's estimated value right now is 1546. We know that's not the case, right? So you're applying an index that is created independent and comprised of very low-end cards, and you're applying it to a very, very, probably the highest of the high-end cards, right? Is National Treasures true RPA. So we know it's not true because if you look at that index, we can go back, and here you go. 3,300 for a BGS 8. 35.55 for a BGS 8. This is sorted by date sold. So these just sold like a month, 2 months, 3 months ago. 10,000 sold in November of 2021. We know that it's not worth $1,500 today. So I just wanted to kind of put this little short video out there. Again, this is not an indictment on Card Ladder, right? They can only put so many cards of so many players into the actual ladder to create a breadth, a wide, broad index. It's just, I can't even imagine the amount of manpower or man hours that Christina and Josh and Chris have put into just getting Card Ladder to where it is today. Some of the indexes are incredibly reliable, right? If we go back here and we type in, Michael Jordan down here, as we've done a million zillion times before. Michael Jordan's got 1,595 cards in his index. Guess what that's going to include? It's going to include some incredibly teeny tiny low pop, teeny tiny base cards, even in raw condition. It's also going to include the absolute super mega monsters, right? It's going to include the biggest cards in the world. I mean, if we click cards on Michael Jordan, you're going to see, let's sort it by value, right? Sorted by value going down, it's going to include $2 million cards, $1 million cards, $900,000, $800,000 cards. It's also going to include a $2 Skybox Premium. So this is a very broad index, right? This is a really good step back macro picture of the Michael Jordan card market because it's got a vast array of cards in a vast array of grades from a vast timeline, right? Years and years, decades. It's going to include rookie cards. It's going to include star. It's going to include autograph cards. It's going to include red and green PMGs. I mean, the biggest and the baddest, all the way down to this 93 Skybox Premium base card that's $1.99, or this 1991 random paper hoops card PSA 8 that's $7 in a slab. So the Michael Jordan index is extremely reliable, I would say. What is not reliable is an 11 card Jaylen Brown index if you're trying to get the Card Ladder predicted value of the most recent national, of a national treasures card that sold, months ago and months ago. But we got, obviously we can click here. This one sold, what is that, 2 months ago for $3,300. This is more reasonable, right? This is closer to the value. And then there, you can see it's only going to use the index over the last 2 months because this one sold 2 months ago. So in Jaylen Brown's case, if you wanted to find the card ladder value of the National Treasures RPA in any grade, you would use the most recent sale, because card ladder, if you're looking at your screen right here, these 3 bars is going to indicate it's a little bit more of a confidence meter on Jaylen Brown, because you only have to go back and apply what his index has done from the last 6 months. So there's going to be a lot less deviation. Does that make sense? Again, just play with it, but I did want to just give you a word of warning. Let's say there hadn't been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Jaylen Brown sales, and you had to go all the way back to February 21. Let's say this is the last one that sold. You're going to get an index, a predicted card ladder value of 1,500. Don't make that mistake. If you're a seller, just call me. I'd like to buy it at 1,500. Let's put it that way, right? Everybody watching this video would. And again, not an indictment on card ladder. You just got to catch up. We've just got to get a bigger foundation of cards in the Jaylen Brown index. And again, I chose Jaylen Brown because he's a perfect example. And I chose Jordan because he's a perfect example. Most reliable, not very reliable. And, this is going back a little over a year. And that's, of course, why Card Ladder intelligently and thoughtfully and logically included the Card Ladder value, right? This confidence meter right here should be something that you take very seriously into account. It seeks to reflect the card's current market price. It's determined by anchoring the card's last sold price to the player's total market index. As the index fluctuates from day to day, so does the card ladder value. This particular card ladder value has a confidence level 1 of 5. The more recent the last sold price, the higher the confidence level. That's what I'm trying to say. So in this case, we would avoid this catastrophe of valuing the card at $1,546 because there have been 5 recent sales of this exact same card. But if there had not been 5 sales of this recent card, you cannot blindly rely on the card ladder value, because it's based on an index of cards that do not reflect what is going on in the ultra high-end market. Does that make sense? So just kind of keep that in mind. And it works the other way around. You can't look, if the index, let's say the index only included National Treasures Jaylen Brown cards, his index would look a lot different than, well, I got rid of it, but his index would look a lot different than minus 60% over the year if we were looking at only his National Treasures RPA in various grades. If the 11 cards included in his index were orange rookie card, gold prism number to 10, the orange 49, the gold number to 10, the green color match, the National Treasures RPA, the flawless RPA, if those were the cards in the 11 for the Jaylen Brown index, his index would be drastically different. Than the one that we see in Card Ladder today. So it's just a matter of them getting more data input into the Card Ladder. That's going to make those indexes more valuable. And again, many of the indexes are more than satisfactory as far as the breadth of cards included. Jordan, Doncic, even players that are more recent than Jaylen Brown, like, Zion, stuff like that. They've got a hell of a huge index for all of those types of players. Like if we go to the index for Zion, I'm not going to get into it. You get my point. Just be careful when you're looking at card ladder value, and don't discredit how many bars are on that meter. It's really crucial, and it's also crucial to keep in mind how long ago that card sold and what the constituent, what comprises that index. What did card ladder use to comprise that index? Because they can't go through every player and note, hey, look, this index is primarily comprised of low-end cards, or this is a very broad index. You got to do that on your own. They can't do everything for you. They've given you, incredible tools at your disposal if you're a Card Ladder Pro member, but they didn't do everything for you, right? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You've got to educate yourself, and you got to use your brain and simple math. I say simple math. I mean, it's relatively simple math and logic to understand that, you know, you can't apply a low-end index to a high-end card. Anyway, that was my only point today. I wanted you guys to see that. Hopefully that helps some of the new card ladder users or new people trying to come up with a value of a card, maybe that hasn't sold in a long time. Just be careful and always click that card button so you can look very closely to see exactly what cards are included in that index. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting, stay positive in the hobby. Check out some of these videos on the end screen, and peace.